Hi everyone, welcome to the Global Thought Leaders TV. My name is Nim Stant and I'm here, super excited to be sitting here with an award-winning author, Nicholas D'Souza.
Yes.
Awesome, Nicholas. Congratulations for your book, Nick.
Thank you, Nim. I'm excited to be here.
Death of a Blue Jay.
Yes.
What is that?
Yeah, the Death of a Blue Jay title, the concept comes from, my book is mainly about, it focuses on morality and mortality, has a Christian fantasy theme to it. So specifically, Death of a Blue Jay relates to mortality, how we have to experience several deaths in life spiritually to grow. Best analogy I use to like a creature is like a caterpillar evolving to a butterfly. It goes through the cocoon stage, and that cocoon stage is in isolation, and it comes out unrecognizable as a butterfly. In life, sometimes we have to go through that stage. If there are past emotions we have to reconcile in the past, and it can only be fulfilled through the grace of God, and in the process, from a Christian standpoint, understanding that the love of Christ transcends above everything.
The love of Christ transcends above everything. How old are you right now?
29.
29. You are so young and so like your thought is beyond like mature beyond your age. How did you, what's your journey? What's your story look like before you write this, like combine this all together with your faith?
Yeah, absolutely. I grew up Catholic. I always, I never had anything against the church or anything, but I didn't really understand much about my faith until I went to college, and by the grace of God, God introduced me to the right people who nowadays are priests or, monks in Catholic monks in California. I learned a lot about the faith, a lot about the sacraments and everything. And even at home, my environment growing up, getting a secondary perspective from a loved one who has a mental illness, made me question a lot of life and how God gave me certain privileges, and how even being born American is, in terms of opportunity, is like winning the spiritual lottery. So I questioned a lot of these things. Growing up, I was a competitive swimmer. I put my heart and soul into that. It was a good escape, but after graduating college, I'm like, I really struggled. Like, what do I really want to do in life? And I started, a friend from mine in college told me to be a writer. And he said, don't do it to, impress somebody else. Just do it for you. And a year out of college, I wrote mental health articles for people who are, struggling from a secondary perspective with a loved one with mental illness, out of empathy. I applied to contests, and didn't win any of these contests, but
Wow.
I sent it to that friend who inspired me to write. 2 years later, I was unemployed for a little while, and I always went to holy adoration and everything, always pray to God, what do you want me to do outside of a 9-to-5 job? There's something I need to put my heart and soul into. And finally I got the job, and one Saturday, the first Saturday after this first week, I'm like, I was just frustrated, like, other than just going to the gym, like, what do you want me to do, God? And I get this text from this friend from college, and he's very busy. He's like impossible to get in touch with every time I talk to him. Probably keep in touch like briefly every 6 months. And he sends me this quote, and it said, in the quiet places of life, you'll find comfort. But if you handle it poorly, everything will go wrong. And I'm like, that's a great quote. Where do you get that from? And he said, you wrote that. I'm like, what are you talking about? He said, you wrote that in that article from 2 years ago.
Wow.
And I'm like, John, you confirmed something for me. And at that point, I wanted to be a writer. I was a bit confused because I never read a book since I was 12. Being born in 1995, I was really in the prime age to experience the Harry Potter series growing up. The last book was published when I was 12. So I lived through that. It was my childhood outside of competitive swimming. I love J.K. Rowling's creativity in the book, and just how there's always some symbolism in every single chapter. So I'm like, maybe I should write novels because it deals with important life aspects. And I was reading this book. I like the cover, called Outwitting the Devil by Napoleon Hill.
Yes.
And I read it on the train, and this one gentleman approached me one day when I was on the PATH train in the city, and he said, where do you get that book from? And I'm like, oh, I like the cover of it. And he was engaging with me and in conversation. And he said he recommended another book by the same author.
Right.
I believe it's the 15 Laws of Success, if I got the number of laws right. And I was so inspired by this because that weekend, it was like a month after this calling. This was in September of 2019, 5 years ago. I was so inspired by this meeting that I'm like, you know what? I'm going to not write this weekend like I planned to, and I want to finish the book. So I finished the book. I reached back to him on LinkedIn, and I told him, like, I finished the book. And he's like, "Oh, you're a fast reader." And he said, "By the way, I saw you on the train the next day. Let us know how God had us meet." The next weekend, I just started to write the book, to write something. And I read this Christian booklet called Our Daily Bread. It has a different story every day with a biblical story after it. And on this specific day, thanks to this conversation with the guy, I postponed my writing day. It talks about a young writer with no experience, and then brings in the story of David and Goliath. And I'm like, God wants me to be a writer for a lifetime. That's when I knew it. And yeah, now this is my second book.
This is your second book.
Second book, yeah.
And what's your next book like?
My next book?
Yeah, what's your next book?
I would like to invest in writing a series. I take a lot of notes, and I'm just letting it marinate for a bit. But I would definitely want to travel a bit more and get the big picture of things, just balance that with my day-to-day life. Yeah.
Well, Nick, if our viewers want to follow you and reach out to you, how can they reach out to you?
Yeah, I have an Instagram. Instagram is Nick D'Souza 95, LinkedIn, and Facebook.
Well, let's get this book, Death of the Blue Jay. This is on Amazon.
Yes, it is on Amazon and all online platforms.
Thank you so much, Nick, for being here.
Thank you, Nim. I appreciate it.